welcome everyone to Slayer Talk. How are you all doing?
Good.
I'm feeling very really good. Thirsty.
Absolutely, yeah. And Jessica, which two episodes were we rocking this week?
We're doing episode 7 and episode 8. So Angel and iRobot Eugene.
And I think Angel's one of the few I haven't seen, which is really odd.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's such a significant one. I don't remember it that much. And I originally thought of the second episode, which we'll talk about later, that it was something super futuristic, and there's quite a lot in both, which kind of connected with me more than any of the other early episodes, which we've already seen.
Yep.
But what do you guys think of Angel?
Love it.
Oh, this is the start of it all for me. My my main draw for this show. So
yeah, me too.
Love this episode.
Me too. It's got heart for a number of reasons, and it's really well done and well acted and great.
Yeah, I quite like it.
Yeah, it's one of the first things I thought, because obviously I knew this spoiler that Angel's a vampire of sorts, and when I love all the terms like chosen one and all of that. I love all the terms. But what are the three called?
The three.
They're just called the three.
The three. That's right. Yeah.
Three. Yeah.
My comment about the three early vampires that the Master sends to kill Buffy, is they've got like Camelot armor.
Yes.
So like they've just picked it up somewhere, like at a country fair, like a.
I thought they hadn't been used for anything.
They're just in storage.
Years old.
They just pulled them out of the closet, like, all right, dust you off, get out there.
I'm like, I always think about the extended story of some of these characters. Like, where do all these chosen ones and the three? Where do they hang out? What are they doing before they in like some sort of huge locker system? You know.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Maybe because if you've ever watched Joss Whedon's Cabin in the Woods, that's kind of his. They're in a little chambers below ground, just waiting to be summoned.
Yeah, that's quite a nice idea actually. For obviously it's not, like possibly an episode of a show like that. You could show where they are. Yeah. But that's crazy. And for me, this is a pleasant surprise return of Darla.
Yeah.
So it's really great to see her back.
She's a great actress too. Wow.
Because remember when we were talking about the very first episode, and you said, "Oh, she's going to come back." I was like, "Oh, fantastic!" Because she was just was she the first one we see?
Yeah.
She kills.
Yeah.
In that,
first
in breaking in. Yeah.
We think the guy's the evil one, but it turns that Joss plays with her or whoever wrote it. I mean.
Yeah. I think these two episodes are particularly strong. Jess, what did you think of Darla's return?
Oh, Darla? I can't even really process her now. Like, I know too much about what's to come, so I can't even really recall my initial reactions or of like, what I thought of her in the first run, because I've seen so much of her. Spoiler alert, she comes back a lot. So I'm not sure how to think of her out of context, but it was interesting in this episode, as she's very like a petulant child, which is definitely not the vibe they go with much later on. But yeah, she's almost like a little toddler throwing a hissy fit, and that Angel doesn't want to play with her anymore. And she's she's an interesting character, and I think that's why she keeps coming back. I think they really liked her. So.
And Dave, what did you think of the kind of the history we're getting about Angel and where he's from? It's really nice to see a little bit more kind of a storied past now, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought that was one of the best parts about bringing back Darla, was that they have an opportunity to have another character give more backstory to Angel without being it all coming from books that Giles discovers. So it was really some kind of a relationship and some conflict that happened in the past in a more interesting way that helped the story along. I thought it was great, and watching the two of them interact, even though she does Darla does go through many changes later on, they hint a little bit more about how vampires kind of are with each other,
Yeah.
which they haven't done yet. They just have the master giving orders, and that's it. So having the two of them talk about their history was great, and even some of them talking about having a relationship together was I thought it was a great way to give more interest and more depth to the vampires.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they haven't really. This is kind of the first like fully fledged vampire with personality, because really only before this we've had like Jesse, who was kind of newly turned, so didn't count, and then like Luke was very like weird and very I guess he spoke in mysterious phrases and stuff. So she's the first one we've seen as like a fully fleshed out character that had like background and story, besides the master, who is kind of in his own league, really. So
I agree. I also think I thought a lot about Darla's who she was and who she represents. It's like a child and a vicious, self-centered entity that represents almost the pure dark side. Like and then it's almost like racism, where they don't mix. She doesn't. It's wrong for Angel to go for something other than a vampire. Yeah. I thought that was really clever of like, because Angel's like halfway between good and evil, like in a way, and fighting that tension. And Darla's like the pure dark part of Angel, like the evil part, and it's, I thought that was really really cool, good representation in characters.
Yeah, I actually really love that, how when she's talking to him in his place, it almost acted as if it was his internal conscience.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was like something he might have going on in his head, but with the character to say it out loud, they're able to make it more entertaining. I thought that was really great.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, so there's only so much smoldering I can take without some backstory, So like, give me some story, and that's kind of what I loved about both episodes. Is that I love things like the ancient past and what happened, hundreds of years ago before any of the main characters we see, and that scene when they're talking about their past together, it really took me out of the rest of Buffy in many ways, which in a positive way, because I was just thinking about the two of them and what their time was like together in Europe or something like that, and
Budapest, I think it was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And that's what I loved about it, is that it was some real meat on the bones. I'm not sure who wrote the episode, but I thought it was a really terrific job, and it kind of matured. I think they were getting to this point. It's everyone's great. I'm not saying that before was worse, but this is a step up in writing. It's a step up in acting, because it's Julie Benz that plays Darla. She's really terrific, and slinking around the room and just kind of owning it. She kind of squared up to Angel perfectly, and there's a really good balance.
Yeah.
We even gave Catherine more to do as well, talking about how he had favorites amongst his vampires, and it kind of gave him more of a personality as well, his reactions to what's going on, instead of just talking about trying to get out all the time. You actually
what was his line? He was the most vicious creature I ever met. I miss him.
yeah,
so great. That
was great. There were some really throwaway lines like that.
I've got one, and I live nearby. I was just out walking. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this episode, and I've got quite a few notes on it, but I think overall it's great, and I'm okay with the master doing his thing and sending people out, and then we kind of he's almost like something to focus on later, and then everything else is kind of the meat of the show. What have I got here? This is a very small detail, because I've been watching Millennium, which is the kind of sideshow to the X-Files. I'll have to check it, but I'm pretty certain the red Jeep Cherokee that Buffy and Angel run, there's one where they both run past. I'm sure it's got the same license plate as Frank Black's character, but I'll have to double check it.
Sorry, Alison and Jessica. There's construction that we can't control.
That's fine.
Oh, that's fine.
Sorry.
So yeah, I think they're both Fox shows, so there's a good chance it's from that.
Their budget was really low, so in the first season, I think. So I wouldn't even put it past that was just maybe. I don't know where anything was filmed, so I'm just.
Yeah.
But I think they probably pulled in stuff from whatever they could get. Like as far as I know, all their cemetery scenes were just their parking lot. It was like the grassy around the parking lot, and they would just shift the tombstones around and stuff,
Wow.
just to make it different.
I love how they kind of quickly got. Were they running through the cemetery, at the graveyards? Was that where they kind of book across the road, don't they? They run across.
This is something I noticed in the Pack episode that we did previously. Is like they can run anywhere in this town, like from the zoo to her house. Like is like no problem. We're already there. She's because she was running and on her way home, and then all of a sudden. Yeah, like they get attacked and she's like, they turn the corner and there's her house, as if that's the nearest place to hole up.
Yeah, 1630 Rebello Drive. Sorry.
You also wonder, my thing about this episode, I was like, you led them straight to your house. That does not seem ideal. Like, not a good idea.
When they go inside, she talks about bringing Angel in and protecting her from them if they're still out there, from the three. But Joyce comes in without being hassled.
Yeah, they don't care about her mom at all.
Her mom at all. So I'm thinking, like, clearly Buffy thought that they weren't there anymore, but was looking for an excuse to keep Angel at her place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They also gave up real quick for very ancient vampire sect. They're like, damn it, they're in the house now.
It should have been like Prince of Darkness, the Carpenter film, where the homeless people are just surrounding the church. But they should have just been standing out there the whole time.
Yeah, like hello, yeah.
They do that later on in the series where they're being hassled and the people don't leave Buffy's house. I think in season 5 or 6 anyway. But yeah, it was great though.
It was great.
I love how this is going to be a really difficult question, but all the three of you watched the original run when it first came out. Is that right?
Not me. I was years later.
From a certain point onwards, but I don't remember specifically when. I think I may have come in at like season 3. I just can't recall how I watched the original because
same.
I probably I think I started in season 2.
I'm wondering why. Do you think majority of people knew that Angel was a vampire?
I can't even remember anymore. I only know that I didn't watch it live because I think I told you before that I stumbled across, like, I wanted to watch it, and the episode that I just happened to turn on TV was the one in season 2 where they have sex for the first time, and my mom was right there, and I was like mortified, like, oh no, sex on TV, and my mom's in the room.
That's amazing.
I don't remember there being any big reveal to me that Angel was a vampire. Like when I finally saw the episode, I wasn't shocked.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just like the Darth Vader phenomenon now. Like it's just something everybody knows.
Yeah,
probably,
like it's just so out there. Because I remember, like, at that time in the 90s, there wasn't a lot on TV. So even if it wasn't something you were actively following, you kind of ended up getting bits and pieces of things anyway. Like I didn't watch 90210, but I for some reason know who all the characters are and what their storylines were. But you know.
Yeah.
What did you all think of Angel's cool pad?
Oh, his pad.
He's living above ground like one of them.
I want to see what's on his bookshelf.
Yeah. That'll look like you're drinking coffee when it's blood or something. A guide for vampires. But
it was quite a. Sorry, go on. No, go ahead.
Small thing. It's nothing. It's just I noticed the what do you call those dividers? Like lit up dividers. I used to have one like that, and I was like, oh, that looks like mine.
Angel's got some design sense.
Yeah. But
it kind of makes sense though, because obviously he's 300 years old or something, 250 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
So he should get some taste.
It was very simple. I feel like, honestly, if you because we got to see both of their rooms side by side, it was almost as if they were going for, like, Buffy's room was very, like, cutesy and girly and young, and here was a more Spartan, like, cool. older college guy dorm. That's
Yeah.
the vibe they were going for.
Yeah.
No, I think that's exactly it. I think they kind of nailed that really well,
Agreed.
showing the kind of serious difference between the two of them.
Agreed.
How much do you really cart around? Even, I mean, if you're 240 years old, I think they now established that in the episode. Like,
Yeah,
it's not like you can really take much with you. I'm assuming you would move from town to town so you wouldn't get caught, right? So
absolutely, yeah.
they probably
They
don't
mentioned,
take
they
much
mentioned-
with them.
oh, sorry. They mentioned that Angel moved to the States in that episode about 100 years before that.
Right.
And was given the soul about 80 years before.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder if he's actually been in that place in one form or another for that long. Although, no, I think they established later on that he
I
wasn't.
think he follows her there because he was in LA before,
Yeah.
and he decides to protect. Like, well, that's established later, but yeah, I don't think.
Interesting.
But I mean, sorry, go ahead.
He was good. Like he was good for all that time, right? Like big,
No,
or
he
partly.
had a soul.
He had a soul, but he didn't feed. He didn't feed though.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like they set up. It's so good that they thought of the fact that Sunnydale's on a Hellmouth, because otherwise you'd sit there and you're like, why is this huge like vampire? Like, why is the master there? Why is this like ancient sect of vampires there? Why are there so many monks? And then they just go, oh, it's a Hellmouth. That's why. That's
Right.
why.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, explains so much. It's like Doctor Who and this doesn't make sense. Time travel. It's fine.
There's a hellmouth under every high school.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
I hated high school, so I relate.
Oh,
to
that's two of us then. I really hated it.
Yeah,
Hated it.
itching to get out.
Is this the? Correct me if I'm wrong, but is this the first episode where Willow clearly says she likes Xander?
No.
I think so, explicitly. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's
really
just
clear.
hinted at, where with like long glances and looks and stuff before. This is the first time she really says it out loud, I think.
Oh, that's
If
neat.
I'm wrong.
The first time that Buffy and her have a conversation about it, but she says it in an episode. I don't know if it's the one right before or the one before that, but she does say something about it, about like a fantasy about them getting together.
Okay, that's
We just
interesting.
kind of hint at it, but this is the first time there was actually any kind of discussion about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think the previous episode was more like, do you know that feeling when you want the guy to notice you or something like that, and she smiles knowingly, like, oh yeah, I know that feeling. So you get the okay, yeah.
Yeah. It's cute.
I love that scene also, like, for them talking about it, because I guess maybe I'm just putting this on because I know what's to come with Willow's character arc and stuff, but I love she's so sweet and like shy and she can't put herself out there, and then she just like viciously like stomps that cockroach and she's like, free
Oh,
drink.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's that little bit of like ruthlessness
Little
that
bit of
comes out a
venom,
little
yeah.
later in her
That's
character,
well done.
which
That's
is
really
great.
good point.
If you spend enough time with me, that's exactly what I'm like. I'm really nice.
which is funny because
Remind me not to piss you off.
Yeah.
it's funny that you talked about confidence, because in that very same scene, they always bring Xander out to be some kind of nerd who's not very great with people, but he's running up to random women on the dance
Yeah,
floor
dancing
and like
weird.
dancing at them. He's the most confident, shy person I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's just out there. And I love that also too, because that scene really, I mean, this is all stuff that you wouldn't know at the time, but like they established, I think, for the first time that chemistry between him and Cordelia, because we see them butting heads for the first time and calling each other names. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've actually done that almost for a few episodes. There's a few,
yeah,
but not like that. Like not.
Yeah.
but he's never given it as back as much as I guess he did to
I
her
love
face.
that.
I feel like
I love
That was amazing.
That was-
whole
yeah.
was
Still, like,
incredible.
Yeah.
those two are so good together, and like
Yeah.
now I don't know, I can't see it without knowing what's to come, but I wonder now if I would have anticipated that, because those two had such good chemistry bouncing off each other, which it was fun to watch.
There's something Jessica mentioned earlier about Angel carting stuff around. You know, like if you collect a load of stuff and you're a vampire, how much you're gonna actually have. And it reminded me of McLeod's character in Highlander, because you see his character with all these different things he's had for what, 500-600 years old, 506, about 600 years, something like that. And it's all there's a real melancholy with everything he owns. He remembers people like the little girl he saved during the Second World War, I think it is, that's his secretary now in Highlander, and you get a real sense of that from Angel talking about his past, because so much time has gone, so many people he loved have perished or gone. They really are on their own in so many ways. Imagine living 500-600 years,
Yeah.
all the lifetimes you live, and people pass on.
And being alone, that's really deep, Alex. Yeah,
And,
I've often had philosophical discussions about, just because I'm weird.
Like when you look at something you had 20 years ago, something like that, and you've got these positive memories. Imagine that on steroids when you've got 200-300 years of looking at an item from someone that passed away in your past. So
yeah.
It's
interesting. Willow and Buffy talk about that in that episode near the end in the library, where Willow says, "And what about the children?" Right, when they're discussing about them not working because he's a vampire.
He can't have kids. Yeah. I guess it's not an issue that any other vampires had, though, because he's the first one with a soul, so he straddles that line, which is, I guess,
That's
not something
interesting,
every other vampire probably is, because they, they're demons, so they don't sentimental about people or things. Yeah, so
I really enjoyed Darla's makeup when she's at the door, at the kitchen door at Buffy's house. That I didn't jump, but it was really kind of oh geez.
Oh, yeah.
Where she's just peeking in, right? Yeah.
I thought that was, and the way it goes back and forth when she's, would you like a bite to eat? Yeah, something large or whatever the line was.
Yeah, and Joyce, what a great actor! Like with just her looks in that scene, and then later with Buffy and Angel.
Yeah, she's interesting because she's kind of like, she shows herself to be a mom who kind of knows what's going on. Like, she tells Angel to shoo, like, it's too late for studying, like, I know what's happening, like, you need to leave. But then she's also totally oblivious. So just very interesting mom. Like, they I guess they're trying to like balance between her being a totally negligent parent, like how could you not know your daughter's going out every night and fighting vampires, but also like she's a good person and a good mom, and I guess that's probably a pretty hard balance to maintain.
Exactly. And then the cute things in the hospital where she keeps seeing Giles and being as a caring teacher. I love that.
The school's really really cares about its students.
That is a great scene, actually. I love that. And there's something in the main title sequence I love. And you'll see it in trailers. There's always movement in trailers. Every single shot, there's always movement. And I love that. I always love that shot where Giles has made a decision. He left the hospital room. He's going down the corridor, and they're discussing what they're going to do. And he's like the leader of the pack, so to speak. And they're all like talking and turning and everything. There's just something about the way it's directed and the way it's scripted for that kind of walk and talk, like in the West Wing, but with action and movement.
Before Aaron Sorkin, yeah,
exactly, yeah, and I absolutely love that. And
you know what, I noticed that too. And it's funny, that's not my usual focus, but I noticed that. It's almost like well choreographed.
Absolutely,
and they all, you're right, they always have one of those shots in the trailer for each season is of them walking, like kind of a V-shaped down a hallway.
I've got a little note about the moody and cool 90s synths. I kind of really like the music in this episode. It's just some, and in many ways it's quite soft and gentle between Buffy and Angel. It wasn't just some sort of teenage thing. It was something a little bit more mature at times as well. And I think the direction was really strong in this episode with, you've got a love affair that went over 250 years ago, and then you've got something really pure and new that Angel wasn't used to recently. So it was I kind of really dug that.
Yeah, it's kind of almost like, I guess we were saying, when Joss Whedon likes to take normal things and kind of put the supernatural bent on them. It's kind of like the reformed bad boy and his past catching up with him and intruding on this new relationship he's trying to form, and how you can't, he's got those skeletons in his closet and he can't keep them, hidden forever. And
and how
whether she'll accept where he came from and what he used to be. and just take him for the person he is now rather than where he's come from.
Yeah, that's well put. And that scene at the bar where they're trying to say goodbye and then they kiss, like.
Oh, and then the cross burning his chest.
That's what
It hurts. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was really mature. One of us has to stop. Or it was just so well directed.
And it didn't feel cheesy, because 90s stuff can be even more cheesy than other decades. And I thought that was really, that's what I really kind of perked up in terms of the development of all the characters, the direction, everything. It was, there's a sense of maturity there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And their chemistry is excellent. It continues to be excellent. Like, they are always so good together. How they play off each other.
Did they ever have a relationship, the two of them?
No. I think he was married to his first wife at the time already, because he is a bit older than she is. So he was already married when he was on the show. Because I remember hearing like a thing that he used to buy her an outfit every time that he had to kiss Sarah Michelle Gellar on screen. I don't know if that's just rumors, but I remember hearing that. But I think, I think that relationship didn't work out. But
and one little last thing, what we're going to have to do is just take a little break and then join the meeting again, because I've not put a penny in the meter, so to speak.
I have a paid Zoom if you need me to. So I don't know how to do it. I'll
tell you what, we'll rejoin the same meeting in a sec, and then for the next one we do, we'll do that.
Sure.
Jessica, that'd be great.
Sure.
So one little last thing I thought about for this episode was the when they kiss in the bedroom, and obviously he turns to his vampire form, and it's the way he slides down the little roof
to get out.
It's such an odd little, like, on his belly thing. So it was
like, I think it's supposed to be unnatural looking, I guess, or I don't know. Like, it's just it was a bit odd.
I really like the fact that Darla used guns. It's the first time any kind of like modern weaponry in the show at all.
Yeah, it was almost like an unspoken rule of like engagement. Like, we will do hand-to-hand combat, and she's like, no, F that. I'm just gonna shut you up.
I thought that was so great, and almost like Quentin Tarantino with the shot of her sliding backwards on the pool table.
It was really good.
I was thinking, how long is that pool table going to slide for? Really, it's so heavy.
I have a few notes here. I'm just saying, so I love the dialogue in the show, and I think it's always like witty when they're talking, but their fight dialogue is always atrocious. And this one, the good dogs don't bite. It's just terrible, awful dialogue. And then my other thing was Xander's, how could you love a vampire? And then, no, how could you love an umpire?
Yeah, that was great.
Nobody likes them.
Nobody likes them.
Yeah, and I like the evil one. Sorry to butt in, but it's related to, I did it with a song in my heart about Angel killing. And what a line. I mean, it was like, wow.
Yeah, very
asshole, sorry.
He was just showing what I guess we find out later, but how he's not just evil, he's like, I enjoy the level of evil that I was. Speaking of evil, like, man, Xander really pushed it this episode too. That was the other thing I noticed. Like, he was really he elevated from just, trying to push Buffy his way to like, oh no, you should straight up kill this guy because he's a vampire. Just kill him. Don't ask questions. Yeah. I'm like, wow.
I think Xander needs to go and find a magazine. Do you know what I mean?
Calm down.
I think we talked about that a few episodes ago. He needs to sort himself out.
This was like a new level of like murder this guy that you're interested in.
Xander's defense, and this is a weak point, I admit. I think because he loves Buffy. I mean, he's attracted to Buffy, obviously, but I think as a friend, he also loves her, and I honestly think part of Xander wanted to really protect her, and he didn't want her to get hurt by Angel, and maybe that's obvious. Maybe I'm pushing it. Maybe that's not true.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't. This is stuff that I never noticed when I first watched him. I thought Xander was adorable and sweet, and just the poor guy. And now I'm just like, whoa, dude, you just need to calm down just a smidge.
Just chill out. Just chill out.
Just chill a little.
He'll be like a little dog rotting against a lamp soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm trying to see. I think I had one more thing I wanted to mention, but now I can't remember. Oh, yeah, Giles's training outfit. I loved with this helmet and the pads that look like from the 1950s.
Yeah.
I got a point about that.
The quarterstaffs they use are actually too big. I've trained in some martial arts before, and typically you want to be able to actually wrap your entire hand around them, but the staffs they had looked like Giles just carved them out of a tree building.
Yeah.
And you don't train with stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and you can see, like, when she throws it to Buffy, it looks like a log in her hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Because
Everything was very old. Like his pads was old too, yeah.
I don't think I've seen more of a discrepancy from when they switched to her stunt person and back between that scene, because I don't think Sarah Michelle Gellar even moves the staff. But when it switches from behind, so you can tell it's the stunt person, she's swinging it like a crazy person. But it's the movement is completely different.
And her hair's darker.
And then the shot,
And she's like super muscular, this woman too.
Yeah.
Like big thighs, big arms. Like it's really obvious.
I had a question. If whenever you've got all your points, do you guys know if the Buffy's house is real? Like,
oh yeah,
that's gotta, it's gotta be, hasn't it?
It is. The exterior is real. I think you can still go see it, including also the school you can go see. But I believe at a certain point in the show, they lost the ability to film there, so they reconstructed the front of the house. And so at
it
some
probably
point,
became a hot zone or something. Too much filming in that one spot. Yeah.
So they transitioned to like a set, but that is a real. House.
It's in LA.
Yeah,
it's somewhere in LA, I guess.
I think so, somewhere in California. Because I know someone I know actually went and did like a little Buffy tour around California, and she took photos of herself in front of the school and stuff like that. So it's really cool.
I think I see the cogs in Smudge's head wearing now.
Oh no!
I think there's a trip coming to LA now.
Let's all do it. One big trip together. We'll meet there and do a Buffy tour all around the filming locations.
Okay, so let's go to episode 2.
Oh, should I give the death count?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got like 3 minutes.
Oh yes. Okay, so the death count for this episode is 3 vampires, including Darla, and 1 cockroach. Well, on screen at least. I don't know how many cockroaches got killed during the fumigation party, but
it would actually be 4 vampires because Darla plus the 3.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think I put Darla in brackets. Okay, so it was 1, 2, 3.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
The cockroach is a great addition.
It is.